Hey, this is Meal Song Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Buy some silver, some platinum, and some crystallized osmium. Don't listen to these for entertainment purposes only. So I'll be taking as bull crap. This is for fun, not for profit or health reasons. Now I got all the disclaimers out of the way. Let's go to a quick share screen. Let's go back to what your young children are missing out on. This is Fox Business News 2 days ago. Let's see what they have to say.
The White House push to reindustrialize the United States is putting a spotlight on an ongoing problem for automakers.
Reindustrialize, does that mean manufacturing? So the Trump administration is pushing for manufacturing, but we're not going to be a manufacturing nation with $18 trillion invested into our country. Understand, got it.
A major shortage of mechanics. Ford CEO Jim Farley says his company has thousands of open mechanic jobs that it cannot fill, even though the gig pays six figures after a few years of experience. But the starting pay is closer to fast food wages than $100,000. And despite a gradual shift to the trades over four-year degrees, car companies just can't seem to find enough mechanics. They should hire them right out of high school and train them themselves.
Absolutely. Or they're going to have to pay more. I mean, if that's kind of how the economy works, or supply and demand. If you can't get them at 58,000, you have to pay 68. So be it. But yeah, I mean, the idea that there are open jobs in this country that we can fill, that where people can make a decent living doing them with a lot of upside. I mean, that's pretty good.
Give me a 1 if you think illegal immigrants can fill those jobs.
Problem to have, I think.
It's a big problem with vintage cars. There's nobody around to work on vintage automobiles.
Those guys make a lot of money.
Now, I'm not talking about like, a 7-figure, like real collectible, but I'm talking about, say, a mid-'80s, like pretty cheap Mercedes Benz or something like that. You can't find anybody to work on it. I mean, this is kind of a well-documented problem.
That could be your AI app.
No, you need parts, buddy. And it actually AI, these models are only as good as what they're trained on. Mm-hmm. And it's all here and not digitized, a lot of it.
I have an idea. You could pay them more, but I wonder why we don't have more people that are willing to become mechanics. And I'm thinking to myself, we've talked a lot about trade schools. We did that report where high school kid was talking about how he wasn't going to college and how he was going straight into a trade. And so he not only was not going to spend the money on college, but he was going to start making money. So the opportunity cost balance there. And he was going to start making money right away. What if in high school you gave people the opportunity as they're studying their regular curriculum to side study their trade so that by the time they were done, they not only got their diploma, but they knew they weren't going to college. And all of a sudden they were trained in mechanics. What if we revamped the...
When I went to high school, they had a program like that in Escambia County in Northwest Florida. I went to Pensacola High School and they had a program because we had a vocational high school in the county. It was called George Stone Vocational School. And the kids that didn't fit in with the regular high school would take first period, second period, and third period, be English, math, science. And then they'd spend the rest of the day, they'd go to George Stone and learn a vocation. And they came out when everyone else graduated, they were making so much freaking money because they spent 4 years, basically apprenticeship while they were in high school.
The system that way.
I think we used to have, was it shop class?
Well, that's like shop class, but this would be more structured, more formal. And
1 second, you're worrying about your home. And then, thanks to ADT.
And more in depth, I think, but it would give people the chance to kind of do it and have the skill and be, boom, ready to go.
I like it. My dad is a small business owner of a bus company, and his sort of claim to fame is he pays this mechanic's the highest paid employee at the company, including himself, the business owner, because you need the mechanics and they demand high wages because there are very few of them. And so it is basic supply and demand. So it is good to be a mechanic in that business. It's hard to find. And then when you get a job, you get to command a pretty good signing on bonus. So good for them. And we need them. Also, because I know we've been at CES and Liz Clayman's been out there this week. There was another cool story this week about Cat released their Cat AI, where if you're on a tractor now, and let's say you're out harvesting, I don't know, wheat or corn or whatnot, and your tractor breaks down, they've released this Cat AI assistant where you can now, instead of calling a mechanic, you can say like, help me troubleshoot, help me how to fix this. So again, if you don't have the part, it's a moot point. But if you're just trying to figure out how to fix it, it can try to help you and diagnose all the problems. So again, sort of one step in, I think, productivity, efficiency, making things easier.
The machine talks you through how to fix itself. That's pretty interesting. Here's a thing though. I do think that one of the problems with getting people in the door, there's a couple of them, but one of them is young guys do not get praised for going into this work. They never get, nobody calls them up on stage. Nobody says, man, you are starting out on a good path. Way to go. There's no social currency for going into these fields because the government has its thumb so strongly on the college route, and everything downstream from that says college good, everything else second best. That's got to change. The other piece of this, and I don't know a lot about this, but I do know this is true. A lot of mechanics starting out have to buy their own tools.
Interesting.
Which is super expensive. I don't think the government subsidizes those loans. I've never heard Bernie Sanders go out there and say, free tools for mechanics. And I don't think there should be free tools for mechanics. But all these guys are so in love with the university system because ideologically it helps them. And they ignore folks who are going out and starting a business. So I'm not saying subsidize tools, but I am saying the people who say they're fighting for the working man never really think about the guy who goes to work out of high school and is the one.
And I would just say they're the same people that lied to you about the food pyramid. So maybe they're lying to you about college too.
There are a lot. There actually are a number of states with very strong programs.
I love that she brought up that everyone lied to us about the food pyramid.
At the high school level that certify graduating students, that train them and certify them in automotive service excellence. And each of the manufacturers has their own certification requirements.
Does it cost money to enroll?
Well, it's like Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida have particularly strong programs. But Texas, for one, many of the school districts will partner with ASE, Automotive Service Excellence Education Foundation, to teach accredited programming, and then you earn your ASE certification before you graduate.
That's
bingo. That's what I'm talking about.
awesome.
Get out and get a job.
Yet another advantage for states that know what they're doing and a disadvantage for the.
And also, one thing I've said on several other live streams is America's states are going to be breaking down where they're going to be competing for people to move to their states, and they will be doing things like what she said Texas is doing. They've hooked up to where you can get an accredited course in high school and be an accredited mechanic as soon as you get out of high school, which, my God, is awesome. You go straight out of high school and making $120,000 a year. Bam, bam, screw college. But that's going to attract a lot of parents to move to Texas. And that's going to cause Texas to become a bigger GDP for the state. Every state is going to move into doing this type of action once they realize what the heck is going on, and their leaders in these states realize what's going on. They're going to move to that direction. So look to states to give advantage for people moving to their state, whether you have children. Texas looks to be a good one to move to if you want your kids to go to a vocational school and get accredited classes while in high school to be a certified mechanic when you get out of high school. My God, now you're looking at, hey, honey, instead of paying $25,000 a year for college, Jed's getting himself a job for $120,000 a year, and he can pay for his own damn college if he even wants to go.
The rest of them who don't.
And I think, Brian, for the people, you know, it's not cool or you won't get a lot of praise to become a mechanic, yes. But I think also for younger people who can go out and get a job,
that's why you got
have
laughing
that
gas
job and
tank.
build a life
Gas
and buy a
cans.
home,
Yeah.
you know, it's, I think the thinking on that will shift. That's kind of
what I
good.
hope.
And yeah, I think it will. And in a few years, when they're making 160,000, or they have raises, or they have a pension, or whatever it is they're getting, good for them, because not everyone's going to be a doctor or.
And they don't have the debt.
Right.
One of my neighbor's sons decided to go into trades. He's a diesel mechanic rather than going to a 4-year university. And I think he probably makes a lot more than his dad.
Wow.
Let's talk about big tech, NVIDIA. We talked about, remember, Apple and Alphabet is trying to get to number 2 and number 3.
Let's not talk about them. Let's talk about that picture I got up right there. That's a guy who quit high school, got called up, joined the army, got out of the army, fucked around for 3 years, got called back in the army, got out. And my first job out of the army, after about a year fucking around, I was making as much as my dad, who worked at civil service. And he had been there for 16 years. This was back in 1993. Guys, quiet. He was making like 12, 13 bucks an hour. I stepped into ironwork, making 12 bucks an hour. And I was much younger than him. So I learned this a long time ago, that trades pay a lot better. That's why another reason why I never went to college, because I was making more money than my dad. But anyhow, that's not what we're talking about. Let's talk about something else here. Let's see. Boo, 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 boo. Hey, let's talk about, since we're on it, let's talk about more jobs. This is from the U.S. Navy, U.S. Defense News. U.S. Navy awards a $1.7 billion to General Dynamics for 2 John Lewis class oilers, built in America, going to be built in America for tradesmen. If you're not a tradesman, yeah, you just watch us make money.
The United States Navy has awarded General Dynamics, NASSCO, a significant $1.7 billion contract to construct 2 additional John Lewis-class fleet replenishment oilers, designated TAO-215 and TAO-216. This contract award, announced in November 2025, represents the second and third vessels under an ambitious 8-ship, multi-ship procurement agreement that underscores the Navy's commitment to modernizing its critical at-sea logistics capabilities. Strategic importance of fleet replenishment oilers.
First off, the fact that they're going to be replacing the secondary fleet and adding to the first fleet just adds to the credibility that you should look into any industry or job set that has to do with boat building or ports, because the way I'm seeing it, and the videos I've been showing over the past couple of months, and the fact that the president and Congress have been moving to put the Shipbuilding Act moving forward along with other things, that right there is over a 1,000-foot long vessel. There's going to be 8 of them built here in America, on top of all the other vessels I've told you about that's going to be built in America. Again, they put 1.6 billion, 7 billion into it. They're not going to start tomorrow. That's not exactly how it works, but it will start within a couple months. Within 6 months, they'll start laying the keel. But before that, they'll have already got infrastructure. And these are the companies that you can make money off of, bringing in all the steel, bringing in all the equipment, bringing in all the industry supplies that they'll need to build these boats. Those require other businesses. And that's why I'm excited about the shipbuilding industry, because it's going to ignite a local mom and pops grown industry, which actually will make all of the United States richer if we follow the Norwegian government's way of doing things, where they keep all of their people's money in the city they're in to enrich each city, which means each city's got its own multiple layer of rich people in every city in Norway. That's why they're so wealthy. To where here in America, we had highway systems and we flew all our money straight to Washington, D.C., and they gave it to some other country, and we all became poor. This is kicking us off back to where we'll be rich again.
Fleet replenishment oilers serve as the primary fuel pipeline for the United States Navy, enabling sustained operations across the globe without requiring warships to return to port for refueling. These vessels are fundamental to maintaining forward naval presence, supporting carrier strike groups, amphibious ready groups, and surface combatants during both peacetime deployments and combat operations. The ability to conduct underway replenishments or UNREP operations allows the Navy to project power and maintain operational tempo in distant and contested regions. This capability has become increasingly vital as great power competition intensifies. The John Lewis-class oilers specifically support the Navy's Distributed Maritime Operations concept, which requires naval forces to operate in smaller or dispersed formations across vast areas. As Admiral Samuel Paparo, commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, has emphasized, the Combat Logistics Force operates on narrow margins and requires expansion to meet the demands of the current security environment. Without adequate replenishment capabilities, carrier strike groups and expeditionary forces will be tethered to shore-based support, severely limiting their operational reach and flexibility. Contract details and program context. The $1.7 billion award for TAO-215 and TAO-216 is part of a broader $6.75 billion block buy contract announced in September 2024, which authorized the construction of up to 8 additional John Lewis-class oilers, TAO-214 through TAO-221. This block buy approach is expected to generate $491 million in savings compared to annual procurement contracts, demonstrating fiscal responsibility while strengthening the shipbuilding industrial base. General Dynamics NASSCO, the San Diego-based shipyard responsible for the construction, has been building Navy auxiliary vessels for decades and currently has 17 John Lewis-class oilers under contract out of the Navy's 20-ship program of record. The company has already delivered 4 vessels to the Military Sealift Command, USNS John Lewis, TAO-205 in July 2002, USNS Oscar V. Peterson, TAO-2A6 in July 2003, USNS Earl Warren, TAO-207 in May 2024, and USNS Robert F. Kennedy, TAO-208 in December 2024. 5 additional oilers are currently under construction at the NASSCO shipyard in San Diego. Dave Carver, president of General Dynamics NASSCO, highlighted the program's significance both for national security and workforce stability. The TAO program holds significant importance to the men and women of NASSCO and is one we take great pride in. It's the longest-running Navy production series in NASSCO history. The timely funding for these 2 ships will act to stabilize the workforce by sustaining an important backlog and prevent future layoffs. The John Lewis-class oilers represent a substantial advancement over their predecessors, incorporating modern design features and enhanced capabilities. Each vessel measures 742 feet in length with a full load displacement of 49,850 tons. The ships can carry up to 162,000 barrels of diesel ship fuel, aviation fuel, and lubricating oil, along with significant quantities of dry cargo, fresh and frozen provisions, and potable water. Built to commercial standards and certified by the American Bureau of Shipping, the John Lewis class features double hulls to prevent oil spills in compliance with modern environmental regulations, strengthened cargo and ballast tanks, and an advanced degaussing system. The vessels are designed to operate at speeds up to 20 knots and have a range exceeding 6,140 nautical miles. The oilers are equipped with 5 underway replenishment stations when deployed, including port and starboard refueling stations, an astern fuel delivery station, connected cargo transfer stations, and a vertical replenishment or VERTREP station on the flight deck for helicopter operations. This multi-station capability enables simultaneous transfer operations, significantly improving efficiency during replenishment evolutions.
Anyhow, enough about all that. I just wanted to bring that to you because of the shipbuilding aspect, and it's another just another freaking thing to look out for when shipbuilding. There's 8 more, along with we're going to build, I think, a total of 12 battleships, new Trump class battleship. There's so many damn ships going to be built in the next 5 years. The amount of money to be made if you are set to grab those jobs is out freaking standing. That's all I can say. If you're in position to grab those jobs, you will be doing awesome. And let's see, let's get another shared screen here. Yeah, here we go. Let's talk about, I think this is a little shorty. Yeah, this is the National Desk. I already gave him a thumbs up. I think might have already shown this to you, but we're going to do it again.
I'm national correspondent Kayla Gaskins in Washington. They're small enough to fit on a truck, but powerful enough to run an entire town. Nuclear microreactors are drawing growing attention as a possible solution for clean, reliable energy. But major hurdles remain before they show up in local communities. When many people think of nuclear power, they picture massive plants spanning hundreds of acres. But a new generation of technology could shrink that footprint dramatically. Nuclear microreactors are the smallest type of nuclear reactor, producing less than 20 megawatts of power. Small enough to ship by truck, but strong enough to supply a data center, a college campus, or a small town.
Like replacing a remote diesel generator in an Alaskan village or at a remote mine site. The administration is
at a remote mine site. There are no remote mine sites right now because they don't have energy going to those remote mine sites because they're too expensive to get energy to go there. Micronuclear energy will open up those remote mine sites that this gentleman here, the Secretary of Energy, seems to know about. You guys didn't catch. I brought it to your attention. New mines will open up because of this technology.
Supporting all of these efforts.
The U.S. Army is now moving closer to making these a reality. As part of its Janus program, the Army has identified 9 installations under consideration to host microreactor power plants, including Fort Bragg, Fort Hood, and Fort Drum. Army leaders say on-site nuclear power would help protect bases from grid failures and from cyber or physical attacks on civilian energy infrastructure.
And that right there tells you that every military base in America and every government installation around the world is going to be buying a micronuclear reactor to support their infrastructure if it's applicable for the area, which means that this industry of micronuclear reactors is going to grow in the future only by government growth, much less everyone else who will see this advantage, see what our government's doing, and follow suit. And this industry is going to be blown wide open. You look into it. I had mentioned NuScale a couple of days ago. I said I was going to do a deep dive into them, and I did, and I suggested you look into it. And ever since then, they've been going up again. They were down like $14 when I suggested looking into them, possibly getting some. OKLO is blasting again, and so is NNE. All good investments. This is not financial advice. This is good advice because the Energy Secretary of America just told you.
I want to thank President Trump for making a nuclear renaissance possible.
The administration says it's pushing for a broad range of next-generation nuclear technologies.
Ultimately, we'll demo probably 10 different reactor designs in the next 24 months. Very exciting times. I think we'll see shovels in the ground building small modular reactors.
Unlike traditional nuclear plants that take years to build, microreactors are designed to be factory built and deployed quickly. But that speed comes with a catch. Companies need major upfront investment to build factories, while potential customers want to see the technology proven before placing orders. And after decades of public mistrust around nuclear power, community acceptance may be the biggest hurdle for this new technology when it's ready for community use.
Now, having Haggard mention, let's see, who was it said that, just for camping. As a matter of fact, I need to do another video on this. We have carbon diamonds, man-made diamonds, and they have actually been looking at containment because a diamond is a strong enough container to block minimal radiation. And they have been looking at a technology to add a small micro reactor in a diamond coated with a synthetic man-made diamond as its outside radioactive protection. If those two technologies merge successfully, you will have you'll have it for your cars, you'll have one for your house, you'll have one for your boats, you'll have a portable energy unit. And that's part of going to the next level of society from like 0.8 to 1.0 society is the energy use and how we use it. And that'll be part of it. What are you guys meowing about? Quit it. Sorry, I had to look at my cats there for a second. They was meowing at something. But yeah, there's going to be, probably in 20 years, maybe less, depends on what type of technology gets knocked out this round of technology release. But hey guys, what did I just tell you? But we're getting a lot of technology release that'll blow y'all's minds. So it might happen sooner than I think. But I think within 20 years, we'll have small, compact energy generators and solar will be out, everything. As a matter of fact, with the Parivsky solar that's going to be released here real soon, you can make a jacket with their solar panel. In other words, your whole jacket could be used to power your phone, your radio, and keep you warm because it'll have a heater on the inside, all from a jacket. So that technology I know is fixing to be released. So it shouldn't be too far behind before we have something that will power a whole house, a boat, a car that you can just pull in and out. Just sit it in, it powers it. It'll be like Iron Man's little hardcore thing. Quit! I'm on a live. They don't want to hear you meow. I don't know how small they'll go because our technology is going to be a driver of that, and that means a lot of things got to go micro, real small in their manufacturing processes and be safe. With nuclear technology, I know the smaller they go, the safer it is. I don't know how small they've gone in their test to be able to know if they'll use it. Nanonuclear energy is coming up with a less radioactive style fuel source for their style of micronuclear reactors. And that might lead, if it's less radioactive, only one cell of it should be more than okay for humans. So they could do a Rolex. I don't see it happening too soon, but I'm sure it will happen. I think the new Parivsky solar panel is going to revolutionize shit, and they'll allow it to go long enough for that part of the industry to make money, and then they'll bring along another technology advanced off of that technology that they already have, but they're going to hold off on, where they might release two levels of technology to us, which will really blow our freaking minds. But the government's holding off on a lot of technology, man. If you look at the armed forces and their fighters, we're on a 6th generation fighter plane. What is a 6th generation fighter plane? One you can't see. It's invisible. Okay, so if our military is on a 6th generation fighter, look at the 3rd generation fighters and ask, why don't our citizens have technology that's even close to our 3rd generation fighter technology? And look at it that way. What? Just look at things differently and see what might be coming down the road. I keep up with what DARPA's doing because that's military technology and spy shit. And from what they release, and that's only what they'll release, is mind-blowing. And it's not public use stuff, that the knowledge they release on what's capable and the technologies that are out there. So I don't know, man. A lot of things are going to happen here in the next, before 2030. I saw, as a matter of fact, I wish I should have seen. It was a 30-second short on a gas electric solo one-person helicopter that was so damn easy to operate. It was so lightweight. It was a hybrid gas electric, went like 60 miles on one charge. Perfect for the housing design thing I'm looking for. They're now selling it. So the technologies of that being made available changes the housing market. Imagine that. How could a independent one-person flying car, basically, or flying vehicle, open up the new housing? Well, if you're an inventive, creative thinker, you can really think of several ways it would. And that technology is coming out. So it's going to be the new car. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed the road systems, but if you live in a small town in an area that's not economically viable for the state you live in, the roads are probably shitty. And that's because we're not going to be spending tens of hundreds of billions of dollars on infrastructure for roads. We're advancing our technology. People are moving into, instead of the horse-drawn trailer, they're moving into the Model T, that type scenario. And it's happening now. It's just the next evolution of technology. We're going to be leaving the four-wheel drive cars over the next 20 years and going more to, not saying they're going to go away. A lot of people still use them, but this vehicle I told you about costs $20,000 for your own one-person flyable unit that flies for 60 miles. It's got a 360 freaking cockpit. It's standing position. You step right into it. You turn it on, take off. You can go 60 miles. Boom, you're at your house. And it's so lightweight. If your house is designed properly, if it's in a remote location, you could have the top of your house as a landing pad, which obviously I've already come up with a design for houses in that area. What area is that? I don't know. I haven't bought the land yet, but I've already seen this future coming and come up with plans to take great advantage of it and be one of the first ones to take great advantage of it. And I'm starting to see these technologies come out. So I know they're going to be more technologies rolling out on top of that. When the quicker they roll out, it's the faster we advance to an energy independent society. And that is why I said by 2030, energy prices will be 75% cheaper than they are right now, because all of the micronuclear reactors coming out and all this nuclear tech, we're finding out the science of nuclear. The smaller you go, the actual safer it is. So now the question for industry is, how small can we go? And that's where Haggard comes up with this, hey, I wonder if we can put one in the Rolex and keep a Rolex running for 500 years. It's quite possible. Once industry money and investment gets involved in something, it goes. Hey, what's up, JM? Sorry, I'm taking it right now. Commercial break. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things happening. And again, if you keep an eye on what your government's doing on the government perspective that they give every 10 years or every 5 years for the next 20-year outlook of what they're going to be spending money on, you too can see the same thing I see. Because you start looking at that, you get familiar with what your government's doing. After 5 or 10 years, you see exactly how it works, how slow it works, how leaning to one side or another due to political preferences it runs to. And after 20 or 30 years of looking at something like that, you can pretty much gauge what's going to happen. And that's what I've been doing. So, you're gaining the benefit of my 20 to 30 years of watching what's going to happen, figuring it out, seeing stuff, and not investing in it. In this cycle, I'm like, okay, it's my time. Let me tell other people, because I'm jumping in. And that's where I've used my psychological strategy of buy silver and platinum 3.5 years ago or so, when I first did my YouTube show, my very first one, all the way up until I got introduced into crystallized osmium. My saying was buy silver and platinum, because of the psychological advantage of continuously hearing that and reading it. It makes you question it, maybe possibly want to look into it, possibly buy it as an investment. And then I found out about crystallized osmium. That's why I always say buy silver, platinum, crystallized osmium. It's the same peripheral attack on you guys' psyche as a commercial with their subliminal messaging. No, I put that up there so that people can see that if you take a hot bath once a week for 20 minutes, sit in a hot bath that contains a handful of Epsom salt and lavender and baking soda, draws out toxins, lowers stress, and balances your pH levels. And all of those things help prevent cancer, because cancer can't grow in a stable pH balance, and your body's natural pH balance is 6.35 to 6.45. And if you keep your pH at that, cancer loves 7.8 pH. So if your pH is balanced, cancers can't grow. That's why if you ever hear people, scientists say, oh yeah, everyone's got cancer cells. They're right. Every freaking human being has cancer cells. That is a fact. The other fact that they don't tell you, they'll stop and you'll talk about that fact. But the fact they don't tell you about is they can't be activated if your pH level is balanced. And your balance of the human pH is between 6.35 and 6.45. Cancer lives in a pH of 7.5 to 7.8. It can live in a lower pH, but it cannot live in a balanced pH. So I put that up there because I tell people all the time, hey, take Epsom salt, baking soda baths. And the lavender oil is just for the smell of it. And there is actual benefits. But the Epsom salt and baking soda is all you need to detox and draw out heavy metals from your body. It can prevent a lot of future issues for your health. So that's why I have that. Not that I'm in my bathtub. It's to draw attention to the health benefits from someone else's cartoony drawing. It's not coming from me, so that way people might believe it. One of the reasons why I stay so healthy is because I take Epsom salt, baking soda bath. I eat cinnamon and honey, because cinnamon and honey in your system helps your bad cholesterol go down, your good cholesterol go up, your blood pressure go down, and a couple other good things. Helps with your breathing, helps with a lot of things. And these are just things I do holistically. And I don't get sick. I don't look like I'm 107, So I just want to pass on information. That's why I showed that. I finally found a little cartoon that expressed the advantages of an Epsom salt baking soda bath. Helps everybody, especially as you get older. If you don't want autism or Alzheimer's disease, it's caused by too much aluminum. One of the things it's caused by is too much aluminum in your system. They had aluminum in underarm deodorant from when they came up with underarm deodorant to about 10 years ago. So everyone that used certain types of underarm deodorant was loading your system up with aluminum. So how do you get aluminum out of your system? Boom, right there. Draws out toxins and heavy metals. Well, so now you can pull that shit out of your system that you've been putting into your system for years. So yeah, just helping people out. And cats keep jumping up on me. They don't get it. I don't need to jump on there yet. Yeah, exactly, JM. Cancer doesn't like the highly, and there's things you can do to raise your oxygen levels in your body too, but I can't say it on this channel. But if you start doing research on holistic medicine, you'll find out there's lots of things you can do that can prevent the cancer that you have living in your body from activating. And every human being on this planet, every dog, every cat, everything, living cell, everything has cancer in it. It's whether or not it gets activated depending on your lifestyle. If you're around toxins that help it out, my pawpaw died of heart problems when he was 57. But the last 7 years of his life, from age 50 to 57, he was painting an ice cream factory in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and using lead paint. So, environmental reasons, using lead paint for 7 years caused him heart problems and died 20 years, 30 years early. So barring environmental factors or job factors, you can really clean up your own body. And if you know it, you should prevent from getting jobs or moving into areas that'll cause you damage through toxins. Do research before you move. See, am I moving on top of a waste dump, an old factory backfilled? When my kids get sick if they dig 2 feet into the earth. Check these things out. And I don't say that because I know for a fact I've been out here for about 30 years and I saw a dump, a full-blown dump, 100-acre dump. They poured dirt on top of it. Now it's called Brentwood, California. A very expensive neighborhood to live in. 10 foot underneath their soil, a dump. Gushing out. Well, actually, they've controlled it. They've got little pipes that you'll see every now and then. that's letting the methane out, so that way it doesn't blow up underneath the houses. But they're paid $400,000 or $500,000 for those houses in Brentwood, and it's all on top of the landfill. It's like, wow, all because you wanted what they call cheap housing, new housing you bought on top of a landfill. That, I mean, come on. If you find out later you can't resell it for as high because it's on top of a landfill, it's kind of your fault for buying on top of a landfill. Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, well, that's your fault too. That's why you do research before you buy. If it looks like a good deal, like Northwest Georgia, don't buy in. I would not buy in Northwest Georgia. Top, 50 miles or so. There's a town up there that makes carpets that 3M sold Forever Chemical to put in their carpets, and all the rivers and streams up there are loaded with that Forever Chemical, and you're not even allowed to walk in it because it'll absorb in your skin, and you'll get more than the EPA suggests you have in your body. So I've seen houses for sale, nice. Oh my God, $75,000, 5 acres, 3-story log cabin home, and the river right out front. But you can't do nothing with that river. If your cat goes near that river and starts drinking from it, your dog drinks from it, it'll probably die. But they legally don't have to tell you about it. But they're lowering the price of the houses in that area. Someone from California or Washington looks at that in Northwest Georgia, says, "Oh, that's a cheap house. I got $75,000. Let's pay cash." You go in there, you find out you're fucked because the laws and regulations of that area, they don't have to tell you. It's polluted water, polluted ground. So you got to do your own research. I did a video on it because I was looking at buying in Northeast Alabama, and I had to check the waterways and all that stuff before I could consider it still safe to buy in the Northeast of Alabama because it borders the Northwest of Georgia. But the way the mountains are and the way the rivers flow, it's not flowing into Alabama. So I'm not too concerned, not in the area that I'm going to be in. And I've looked at other things, other toxins. I've looked at, like, for example, Huntsville area, Space Force is going to be built there. They're going to employ 40,000 government employees. So a lot of building and stuff's going on there. So I'm keeping my eye on that area. Mobile, Alabama, they're doing a lot more shipbuilding down there. Keep my eye on that area. They built a steel mill down there. Just keep an eye on the area that you want to move to over years, and just keep an eye on that area, and then make a decision on whether or not to move. That's why I'm moving back to Southern Alabama to get a house. I mean, I got to be there for business, but there's areas down there I really, really like, and they're not distorted by society's dumps over the decades and centuries. Now, whether the underground system that I can't see and get too much research on is fucked up, well, you can only do so much research. But anyhow, anyone want to step up on panel? Anyone have anything else to talk about? If you want to step up on panel, it's always pinned to the top. Let me see. I'm going to do a quick Google search on that Diamond nuclear reactor, see what the prospects of it is. Are they looking at Diamond coated reactor? I might have phrased it wrong. Oh, well, no, I did not fade. I'll be a son of a bitch. See, this is how easy it is to get shit. Let me go share screen here. I just typed this in. Are they looking at a diamond-coated reactor? That's all I typed in. I wasn't expecting anything. And I get, and it's on a stage right now, nuclear fusion experiments. In a significant breakthrough, scientists at Lawrence Livermore Lab used ultraviolet laser 192 pointed at blah, 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 blah. The diamond encasement was a key part of the process through the entire reactor itself, was not diamond coated. Okay, now we go to Haggard's thing, diamond batteries. Research at the University of Bristol and the UK Atomic Energy Authority have developed a prototype diamond battery. There you go, Haggard. There's already a prototype out there. that generates low but long-lasting electrical current from radioactive waste. Hey, so it's going to be cheaper because it's the waste product. Technology uses radioactive carbon-14 isotopes embedded in the synthetic diamonds. It's, like I said, synthetic diamonds. We create them. We can put them around an isotope. There are where the diamond acts as both an energy source and radiation shielding. Holy cow! Looky there. I'll be son of a gun, Haggart. You got yourself your nuclear powered fucking Rolex. It's just probably 10 years down the road, brother. You guys no fighting. So yeah, there's going to be a nuclear powered Rolexes, that battery coated. It's like I said, they're going to size it to where you can probably power a house, car, and you'll be taking your diamond out of your dude. I am 100%. I worked for a guy. He owns 3 7-Elevens. His name's Noah. He's Persian. Back in 1979, he had to leave Iran. He's Iranian. He was a superintendent of a 12 16-story buildings that were going to be built for an Air Force base in Iran. Back in 1978, 79, 77, he was working on it. And then the Ayatollah overthrew him, and they came back here. He got himself a couple 7-Elevens, and I was like, being an iron worker, my people skills were real bad. So I was like, hey, let me work graveyard shift Friday and Saturday when the drunk people come in so I can, rework my people skills. And I did that until I had a shotgun and a 38 pointed at my head. And I was like, okay, I don't need to do this job no more to work on my people skills because people are assholes. So I quit. But he was from Iran. I dated his niece. His niece's name was, what was her name? Started with a name. It was a weird name. That didn't last long. She looked like a princess. She's beautiful. Persian, most Persian women are. Nayari or something like that, I want to say. I don't really recall. It was like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But yeah, they're fixing to get their country back. That's going to change the whole dynamics. That's also going to open up archaeology, believe it or not, because that area has a lot of archaeology that has been undiscovered that we could really do some research on and open up that area for archaeology. And of course, stabilize the whole region because they're the ones supplying Somalia for the terrorists down there, along with Minnesota and Ohio supplying the Somalian terrorists down there. Hopefully we'll end that soon. Yeah. New technologies will be coming around. Like I said, there's already a jacket out there. It's got a heater in it that can you can plug in your phone to, and it'll charge your phone. All from the Proviskite solar or something like that. It's a weird name. It's a Polish sounding name. Provoscite, something like that. Yeah, but what you got to watch out for then is the biblical history, Haggard. Because I don't know. It just seems like it'd be more likely for it to happen if they were quote unquote at peace. So that way the peace would be disturbed. I could be wrong. But yeah, peace would be great over in Iran, man. Iran, I saw, as a matter of fact, I wish I could. It was on X. I saw a post. This chick, she pissed off a lot of people with her post. She was showing pictures of like Syria, Iran, and one of the countries back in the early 70s, and how their women dressed. And then she said, now all of them are under Sharia law, and all of the women have to wear burqas. I was like, wow, she's got balls. Because what's happened over in Islamic land and that's why Saudi Arabia loves us and Iran hates us, because Iran is the Shah. They are Sharia, Sharia, not Sunni. Sunni is the Arabs, the Dubai, Kuwait, DEA, Saudi, that area, they're Sunni, and Iranians, the Shah, are Sharia. And that's why you see in Minnesota, they're saying they want to bring Sharia law, have Sharia courts, Sharia. It's two different sects of one religion, and they've been fighting each other for a while. But the West doesn't tell us about that. They just throw us against Islam. And Islam is bad in all its form, in my personal opinion. But the Sunnis are a lot easier to deal with than Sharia Islamics, because they are the hardcore. And that's why we always have problems with them, because they don't integrate, as we can see by what's happening in Somalia and in New York. They don't integrate. Sharia does not integrate. They take over. Sunni, you can integrate. What's up, Mr. J.M.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Going very well.
Nice. Good to see everybody here. Appreciate the knowledge and information you're bringing out, as always. Sometimes it's just a reminder, and other times it's new for me.
It all depends on what's happening in the world and what I'm into at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, there's every day there's new shit happening. I found out a couple several days ago that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are no longer allowing American citizens into their country. So that changes the whole gold demographics, because Barrick Gold, the largest gold producer in the world, gets 7% of their gold from Burkina Faso, and they're owned by Americans. So are they allowed to go in there and get their gold? I haven't followed up on that research yet, but I did bring it to everyone's attention.
Yeah, lots of geopolitics around the precious metals space recently, and a lot of it is signaling tightening. And people wanting to, countries and companies wanting to repatriate their metals, and they want it in the physical. The old, if you don't hold it, you don't own it, is really hitting these large institutions now.
Yep. And it's a repeat of history. It happens. It's happened in the past a couple different times. Repatriation of precious metals to the countries that for some reason lent them out because of an economic system that's, if you know about, you can read it like a book and you know what's going to happen. Then if you listen to your government, you'll know exactly what's going to happen.
I think China's done that with base metals before too, I believe.
I'm really not sure with what China does, because I've never really got solid information that I trust out of China. And the sources I do get stuff from are basically banned by the CCP, and they own so much of our technology companies and media companies out here. You don't want to be associated with that. As a matter of fact, I believe there was an actual, and I'm surprised people weren't more pissed off about this, there was an actual CCP police station, I believe, in New York, a foreign government's police station. And I believe the first Trump administration shut that down, along with, there was a couple in Paris, and other countries started shutting down these CCP police stations in foreign countries. It's like, what the hell kind of fucking laws are they allowed to pass on foreign countries' soil? I mean, the arrogance of these people. So we have a lot of infiltration of CCP, and that's one thing why we're going to have this, in my personal opinion, we're going to have this economic crash coming up, because I've said it before. We have to purge all CCP companies and business out of American institutions to keep them sovereign, which leads back to your point of everyone's going to their own, backyard and securing their borders and whatnot. And it's happening in economics as well.
All in all, it is all just another brick in your stack.
Well, that's where my unconventional thinking is going to build my stack during turbulent waters. Because if you look again at the big picture, And you find out during bad economic times, and I've done the research on the new millionaires, the millennials and all the newer generations, and it's pretty much the same thing. During hard economic times, they buy certain shit to preserve their wealth. So it would be a good thing to come up with some new product, and whatever it is that the millions of millionaires are buying to preserve their wealth in hard times, because then you're going to be selling a lot of that and you're not going to have hard times. It's a simple calculation. You just got to do the research. And that's precious metals converted into other forms are worth a lot more.
Yep, figurines, jewelry,
all kinds of stuff, and
applications.
It depends on what country you're looking at. I mean, if you're looking at India, I've done several stories on India and their constitutional law that they had when they wanted to break open a couple of their 2,000-year-old sealed vaults. And they were legally allowed to, I think, get 5 of them open. The other 2 have to remain sealed. And one of the 5 belonged to the religious Buddhists in India. The other 5 belonged to the government of India, according to their courts. And in one of the vaults, they had over $1 trillion of trinkets in gold over a 2,000-year period that was deposited in that vault from the people for over the 2,000-year time period. Not coins, but trinkets, little caricatures, plates, stuff like that. And $1 trillion worth of gold found or pulled out of that vault. And they had 3 more they could get pulled out. And I haven't heard anything more on that story, but there could have been up to about $4 or $5 trillion worth of gold that will flood the market that's not on the COMEX. What's that do for the price of gold? These are questions I asked a long time ago that I think are also working themselves out.
Depends how much. Like, I was thinking of that the other day too. Like, what if America actually does have a crap load more gold than what they're even stating? Like, the whole Fort Knox thing seems to just died out.
I did a story that led to that direction, JM. It was on Burkina Faso's, what they call them, what do they call them? They're the individual miners, Parisian miners, I think they're called. But there's a lot of them in that area of Africa where they would get the gold, dig them with shovel, just them and their family and friends. It wasn't no business or anything. And Phoenician gold or something like that. Anyhow, 40% of the gold that came from that area was from private little small-time mines. And all of that gold was bought basically under the table, lower than spot price, not registered. And I followed the story, and it happened for over 10 years where there was 50 tons a year funneled out of the Sahel region of Africa, not listed by any of those countries as revenue being pulled out of the ground. And they traced the money or the gold, most of it back to Switzerland, and then it came straight to America.
Interesting. I wonder how they traced it.
I didn't go that far because I didn't want to red flag myself too much. I just wanted to get general first type in information, not deep dive, because that's when you start getting flagged. But there's places you can go look for this stuff, and because other people have done the investigations, you just got to know where to go. And the most of this gold went to Switzerland and then to America, and that was just over 10 years. It was 500 tons. So I think America's got a lot of gold, because also if you look, the gold was moved, and no one seems to want to talk about this, but the gold was moved out of Fort Knox a long time ago.
And it was moved out of from underneath the Twin Towers, right? It was stored there.
Yeah, and it was moved exactly. It was moved out though to West Point and one other place. So the gold hasn't been in Fort Knox for quite some time. So for people who believe it's there, that's cool. But if you look at the reality of what happened, the gold got moved out of there a long time ago.
So
that was a over here moment.
You've heard theories that there's tons and tons and tons of gold in the Grand Canyon?
There's actually more than just theory to that. The area of the Grand Canyon, they have closed that no one can go down to. Before it got closed down, there were trackers and people that would go down there. And there's a lot of names to rock formations that are Egyptian.
Right.
So, and then of course you hear the other stories of stuff being pulled out of there before it got shut down. So yeah, no, I've heard of that.
There even appears to be pyramids and stuff like that. So
yeah, I do know there's a no-fly zone in this of the south part. You know, I'm not going into conspiracy. This is just factual shit. You can't fly a drone. You can't go down the river without special permit from the federal government. And there's only certain areas you can go. You can't go if you get that permit. And you know, so there's a lot of things special about that area. And it's not like there's a city there. There's not a military base there. So why is there no drone fly zone and you can't fly over it with an airplane, a private plane? Why did they enact those laws if there's nothing there?
That's
so
right.
Obviously something has to be there.
And if you have that much of something that's incredibly valuable, you don't want to broadcast it. So
again, I don't know what is or is not there.
Yeah.
I do know that there's a no-fly zone, and I do know you need extra special permission from the federal government, and they don't give it out often to be able to raft down in that area.
Yeah, I heard that before they closed it all off, that prospectors did very, very well. Panning and searching for gold.
Well, if you look at geology, just in a form of not historical, but just geology looking for gold, the whole area of the Grand Canyon looks like it would be an area that you might want to prospect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because damn, water's done most of the work for you. You're looking at hundreds of thousands of years of rock face. If you know how to read the rock, you'll know exactly where to dig in. Somewhere along that 400 or 500 mile split, there's a couple rift areas that have a gold deposit in them, I'm sure.
Good luck finding any osmium, though.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. You'd have to go to Thunder Bay, Canada, and wait till 2028.
It's pretty much only found where platinum is found in
Yep,
large.
it's found in platinum. When they smelt platinum down, there's a reason why, and I did a video on this. They have to like triple smelt platinum to get all the impurities out. But what they don't say about the impurities are the osmium, the rhodium, the palladium, and other platinum group metals that they have to flush out. That's why you get a 999 pure platinum. The other 0.0001 is either rhodium, osmium, or palladium.
Right.
So it's still a platinum group metal. So it's still better than all the other metals at 0.999.
Yep.
It's like gold at 0.999. Well, what's the 0.0001? You know, probably a nickel or copper or something like that. It won't be silver or, you know, another precious metal. But the gold, the platinum's 0.0001 is actually another PGM. So it's actually the purest of metals, of the platinum group metals.
Yeah, it's neat. Platinum is definitely a more difficult metal to work with, and it's more difficult to refine than silver or gold.
It's got a lot of good use cases. A buddy of mine, Kevin the Weed Man, one of Ninja's mods, his father-in-law is going to get a pacemaker. And he needs to thank platinum, because you don't have pacemakers if there's not platinum in there. So everyone who's live with pacemaker, you love platinum if you love life.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be silver in there too.
That I never checked, because there's so many people are advocates of silver. I'm not like, hey,
Yeah,
I don't.
everyone's on it now.
I don't like being a tailcoder, so I went with the. I mean, I promote the silver by saying buy silver, platinum, crystallized osmium, but my knowledge base is more on platinum because everyone wants to stay away from it, and I'm drawn to things that people want to stay away from.
It's that modern pacemakers do not contain bulk silver metal. The outer case of the pulse generator is made primarily of titanium. The only silver present might be trace amounts in specialized batteries and older models, or as an antimicrobial coating on some experimental devices.
Interesting.
So really no silver. And it didn't say anything about platinum.
Ask the question, is there platinum in pacemakers?
Well, I'm going to ask even better. I'm going to say how much, is assuming that there is, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And see, at this point in time, it all depends on who programmed the AI to answer you. So
That's
what
right.
answer you'll get by how you ask the question.
Yeah, kind of like Google back in the old days. You just never know what it's going to give you. This says pacemaker contains a small but crucial amount of platinum, primarily in its electrodes and wires, the leads. Often
Did
as
it
a
say
durable. Okay.
Did that say crucial? So without platinum, you don't have a pacemaker.
Yes. Yeah. It said crucial. Often as a durable, biocompatible platinum iridium alloy. Though the exact weight isn't usually specified publicly, it's a tiny fraction of a gram.
Yeah.
Valued for its inertness, conductivity, and corrosion resistance inside the body for decades.
Yep. And with all this new medicine coming out, what do you think platinum's going to be used for mostly? New tech. Oh my God, we don't have enough platinum. Holy shit. Time to invest in Asteroid Forge. They're mining space for it. Like I said. If you want to advance medical technology, that explanation of why platinum isn't inside a pacemaker should enlighten you highly to the advantages to having platinum. Unless you want medical technology to stall, not advance. But if it's going inside the human body, platinum.
And for hydrogen power plants too, right?
Oh yeah. Well, any kind of. Well, see there now. Okay, you're going into like the moon. H3. What's
See you,
that?
Hagar.
Hey, talk to you later, brother.
We're going to the moon?
Well, yeah, to mine hydrogen 3, it's a rocket fuel. It'd be easier just to throw our rockets and have a staging space on the moon with the moon base to go to Mars and refuel from the moon because it's got 1/10 the gravity. So economic stasis be cheaper to launch everything from the moon, and it'd be cheaper to get all the heavy shit to the moon. The only problem is we don't have a fueling station on the moon. So
do they have nuclear powered spacecraft at this time?
I did a video actually in 2023, I think it was, or 2024. Russia tested 4 nuclear missiles, 3 of them which blew up. And no one wanted to report on 3 nuclear explosions in Russia. So I decided to drop the story. But shortly thereafter that, NASA, and I didn't do a story on this either because I didn't want to continue with the 3 Russian nuclear bombs or nuclear missiles that blew up. I didn't want to continue that story. So I didn't continue on with the NASA doing their own research on nuclear power. And that's why if you look at new statistics from SpaceX, they're talking about it only taking 45 days to get to Mars because they're advancing nuclear rocket technology. So I was at the precipice of the talking points of the nuclear rocket when Russia was doing it and failing, but no one picked up on the story, so I quit. The SpaceX is now working on one.
Seems like a good idea. Like, it's going to be pretty light, I think.
They said it would take like 6 months to get to Mars, conventional rockets, 45 days with a nuclear rocket. How much time saver is that? That actually makes it feasible because now you can return trip.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to worry about refueling.
Yeah, so in 90 days, you could be there and back. So now it's not as infeasible to have some sort of a round trip supply train going there to get them supplied up to be able to produce their own everything. Kind of which we're trying here on the Earth right now with every country trying to consolidate to where they produce everything they need. That's kind of a template of what Mars will look like. That colony will have to produce everything it needs. So the information we're learning from the 187 countries that are consolidating and trying to get everything they need to continue without anyone else is a principle to be looked at for a city on Mars. Because we'll know exactly which country is most successful and why, and just apply those principles to the city on Mars. Man it up, supply it up, find the resources, start utilizing them, and then send humans.
Well, you're going to need a crap load of oxygen and water.
No, not to start with. You start with robotic technology, $20,000 a robot for a Tesla robot. and you get them to do the work for you without humans there. You just send the products and have them construct it, have them start the mining, have them find the hydrogen, have them separate it into oxygen, have them start the oxygen scrubbers, have it all set up by robotic technology before the humans get there.
It's a good idea.
That's the only way it'll work, because otherwise you have too many people dying, and any person that dies in outer space, you're going to get so many stories here back on Earth that'll lead people to have a negative outlook on it, that they won't want to do it, and that'll stop the forward progress of moving in that direction. So they want to stop that before it ever starts by not sending humans. You might have a couple astronauts going there who are computer techs or something like that, or code experts that'll change if like a robot breaks down or something. But we've already talked about here, I've heard people talking about, oh, robots are fix themselves. Okay, well, that technology work in Mars, or if a robot breaks down, you just have a robot that fixes the robot, and you don't have to worry about it. It keeps working, and your whole infrastructure is set up for you. Now you land people. So there won't be an oxygen problem. There won't be any of that. That'll already be solved before people get there. That's the whole purpose of a robotic workforce.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Oh, you just have we're talking probably by 2050 they'll start that. They might be sending shit there because we'll have the nuclear tech, and from the nuclear tech it'll even surpass that to probably a better tech. They'll probably add some sort of a anti-gravity type device to a rocket, because if you have a nuclear rocket that can push 100,000 tons at a certain speed, how fast could it push 1 ton?
Well, I think once
sort of inertial dampening.
If it can get to outer space, once it's in outer space, you're in like pretty much zero gravity.
Yeah.
And I believe because it's they say space is a vacuum.
Yep.
There's going to be minimal resistance from it accelerating to really high speeds.
That's why.
And because it's so cold, you shouldn't have any issues with overheating. Your biggest issue would actually be with everything freezing up.
Well, you could actually gather that frost, because that is hydrogen. That's water ice to be created in hydrogen. So as you're going fast, instead of like airplanes where they do de-icing of their wings, if you could collect that, you're actually collecting fuel as you're going.
That's smart. I like the way you think.
Well, it's efficiency. Just wait till you see my freaking boat design, bro.
Rescue two birds with one piece of bread.
Go for 3 if you can do it.
Yeah. Hey man, I got to get flying here though. I just wanted to come up and say hi.
I appreciate it.
I like the idea of raising the pH that you're talking about. That's one thing I didn't hit. The water filter that I have, you pour in tap water, and then it's like a 7-stage filter, and the one element in it raises the pH, which I think is great because most tap water is really low. It's more to the acidic range.
That's a good range to lower your body pH to cause cancer, huh?
Yeah, you want to be more more alkaline.
Yep.
Don't whatever you do, don't test the pH of cola and some of the other sodas. You'd be blown away how low it is.
On top of the sugar, the manufactured sugar and all this other crap that's in them. Oh my God, it's like poison machine.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. I'll be over at Salvate Metals in a couple hours there for his live stream. And
yeah, I'm going to be ending this one because I got some things to do now that the rain has stopped the yard. I got most of it mowed, but I got to clean it up still. So I'm going to end this live stream anyhow. Thank you for showing up, Jam. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good day.
You as well, my friend.
Ciao.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to end this. I had one more little 7-minute video, but I'm not going to show it because everyone's already too paranoid. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. You guys have a great week coming up. Good things are coming if you're positioned properly and are in the positive mindset. There's great things coming. You guys have a great week. God bless America and everyone here.